How are you? Today we're talking about fast food. Can you believe it? Takeout. I'm going to do takeout with you. And we're doing this in connection with our interest in three ancient cuisines, those three early cuisines which most influenced the West: China, Greece, and Rome. I'm grilling some Greek sausages, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. But interesting, one of the first fast foods or takeout or easy food was the sausage, because in ancient Rome, they ate with their fingers all of the time, so meat stuffed in a tube, in the intestines of the animal, you see, was very convenient. One of the first fast foods ever. Sausages go way back in history and were very, very popular in early times. Who did the first takeout or the first restaurant? Well, it's hard to say, but it's interesting that the Chinese probably must be credited. You knew that was coming, right? They must be credited with opening the first eating houses. A couple of thousand years ago, the emperor declared that there must be places for you to eat while you were on a pilgrimage to one of the great shrines. So they developed little eating houses on the way. And at the eating houses, you could stop for a light meal, but generally it meant that you would take food out and you would sit out somewhere else in the garden. The first takeout foods then were really Chinese. We think takeout's American, and it's not. It's very ancient. In early times, for instance, very few people, by that I mean in Greece and in Rome, very few people actually had a kitchen. Only the aristocracy. So everyone else had to buy from merchants down the street, and you bought whole pieces of meat already cooked. In China, you even bought your tea water all hot. You took your teapot down the street. Why? Well, it's hard for us to understand, but please remember that our method is simple. We have 2 or 3 different heat sources. One for cooking, another one for heating the house, another one for heating the garage. In the old world, you couldn't do that. It was too expensive. So you gathered around the single heat source and cooked on it. And it was very small. So merchants did most of the meat cooking already for you. It was a fascinating way to live. And meat was cooked in very small amounts. Not the way we cook meat. And that's still the case in ancient cultures. In Hong Kong, for instance, you can go to takeout places and buy chickens and ducks and sausages already cooked and already prepared. This is a particularly good shop. It's right by the Central Market in the downtown Hong Kong. Now watch this. He's shaving a bit of very fancy Chinese ham. And he just shaves off a little bit. Because in China, meat is used as flavoring, not as a whole course. This is the fun thing. This is a stuffed pig's foot. The Italians make the same thing. They call it zamponi. Here's another shop that I think is very beautiful, just down the street. The fellow's charming, and he has all different kinds of ducks and chickens and spareribs, and he has dried ducks and sausages so that you can stop in and pick up almost a whole meal and then go on home. Athens, this has been the case for 1,000 years. But look what the sign is now, Jimmy's Fast Food. Well, it's the same old thing. He's cutting something the Greeks called gyros, which is a grilled meat that goes round and round. But the whole of his menu is already cooked and sitting in the front case, and you can take it home, or you can eat it there. Or you can have little bitty pizzas. Those are smaller, wonderful pies. Spiny kofida, cheese pies, or spinach pies. Wonderful things. There's a long tunnel of fast food in Athens. It's right by Amunia Square. And it's interesting that for the first time, they're trying to open a McDonald's there. I'm not happy with the fact that they're trying, but McDonald's is, fast food in our book, but the Greeks have always done this. And I'm not sure it's going to go, because they have wonderful things like souvlaki or sausages that they roll up in bread. I think they're far superior to a hamburger anywhere. In Rome, this is Campo de Fiori. You can find delicatessens, and everything is prepared. The Italian market has done this for hundreds of years. As a matter of fact, in early Roman times, only the senators had kitchens. And you would go to a merchant who had everything prepared for you. This particular merchant is a favorite of mine. Very fancy sausage and meat shop just off of Campo de Fiori. Look at the tiny sausages, the beautiful things that he has. Isn't this fabulous? The meat is already tied with fresh rosemary, you see. All you have to do is take it home. Those are pancetta, very fancy bacon from Italy, and it's already cured and cooked, and all you have to do is run home and slice it up and put it with vegetables, add it to vegetables, you see. Wonderful eating. So we're going to do some I'm going to show you how to make takeout foods that are typical of the old world. And of course, one of the most popular ones, at least among the Americans in terms of Chinese food, are spare ribs. Let me show you how to make them quickly. And this is a legitimate recipe. All right, the spare ribs are very simple. I have about 3 pounds here, and I want about 3/4 of a cup of light soy sauce. Now, you remember, you see how light this is? It isn't that bloody, dark stuff, you see. Bloody and muddy, we don't want that. 3/4 of a cup of light soy sauce, not the dark. And then I want about a half cup of dry sherry or Chinese rice wine to 3 pounds of ribs. There we are. And then we're going to add some ginger, of course. I'm going to put in about a half a tablespoon. I want these to be rich. And we'll grind the ginger up on our little bitty scrub board. You've seen these porcelain boards? For grating ginger. Quick operation. Isn't this fun? Spare ribs are not difficult to make at home. They're really very, very, Chinese spare ribs, I mean. Really very, very easy. And then to that, we want to add about 8 cloves of garlic. And I've already chopped mine up. Did that before you came. Is that 8 cloves? That'll look about right. Aren't these little spoons neat? They're from China. They're made of bamboo. They're great fun because they don't bang on the jars. You see, when you have one of your kids cooking in the kitchen, inevitably he's going to start this routine. Some of my cooks do that. And when he does that, he's going to chip the jar, and you're going to have glass in your food, and pretty soon everybody's going to be sick. So use wooden spoons when you're cooking, particularly with your children, and they will avoid that, the great sin of banging on the mayonnaise jar with a metal knife. I've talked to you about that before. I need a couple of tablespoons of sugar, plain white sugar. You can use brown if you like. That would be more common with the Chinese. A couple of tablespoons of sesame oil, and be sure and buy the dark colored oil, you see. So dark, that is not the light stuff you find in the health food store. Not at all. And 2 teaspoons of a wonderful blend of spices called 5-spice. You must have that if you're going to have a Chinese kitchen. 2 teaspoons. There we are. There we go. 4 tablespoons of hoisin. Hoisin is a not difficult to find in your merchants. The supermarkets even have this now. Not difficult to find at all. It's a barbecue sort of sauce. It's very, very good. And I use some chili sauce or ketchup. I prefer chili sauce. Good old Heinz, I think, is still the best. Whoops, that was a little much. I wanted about 4 tablespoons. It looks like a little more than that. And it's because it was. But that's all right. It'll be delicious. And a couple of shots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, mumble, of Tabasco. Another favorite product of mine. Hard to beat the old brands, isn't it? Just hard to beat them. I go into the market every once in a while, I'll see something called generic stuff. What is generic stuff? I'm a little nervous. Mix all of this up and bake them at about 325. Let them marinate for about an hour mixed in this wonderful mixture. And then put them on an oven rack, a broiling pan. Bake them for about an hour at 325. And then I always turn on the broiler so that you get that crunch. Well, let me show you. You get that crunchiness that's so typical of this wonderful, wonderful dish. Here they are. Now, I'm cooking these for you because you don't have a place near your house that serves Chinese takeout of the old world quality. But this is the kind of ribs you buy in Hong Kong. Aren't these beautiful? These are the ribs. And they're just delicious things. Take these home, cut them all up. You can eat them cold or warm. It doesn't really matter. See, very Chinese and very, very delicious. Another thing that you'll find when you go to the market, to a Chinese market, still in Hong Kong and in large American cities, of course, is barbecued pork. Oh, you knew that one was coming. And this you use not just to eat plain, as we do with mustard or seeds, but you add this to other dishes, to vegetables and things, so that a little bit of meat is used as a flavoring, and it's wonderful that way. Or you can buy a whole roast duck. He's terrific. And he would serve a lot of people because he's cooked in such a way that he's very, very rich. He's very, very rich. Let me turn that poor duck around. We're getting the wrong end of the duck here. There, I want you to see his face. Well, anyhow, the Chinese, it's all right, don't back off. The Chinese always cook a duck with the head on. And it keeps the moisture inside the duck. Our method of buying a frozen duck that's been squished up to look like a bundle of glue is crazy. That isn't what a duck's supposed to. This is what a duck's supposed to look like. And you can also buy, now let's go to Italy. You can also buy a wonderful platter at any one of the shops. Quick takeout. I missed something. I want to show you a chicken here. Yes, before we go on, I missed one Chinese dish. Here's one more. I have the recipe for this in my cookbooks. Oh, for all of these, of course. This is simply a quick cooked chicken. And you can pick these up at the Chinese market, or you can make one just about as fast. I promise you, given traffic in our time, you can make one of these in a hurry after work. It's not at all hard to do. You marinate him for a few minutes and then bake him. And it's wonderful. A little honey. See, the honey gives him a little color. He's very, very delicious. That's a good bird. Now, what happens in Rome? When you go to Rome for fast food, you wind up with an enormous plate of what they call antipasti. But you go into an antipasti bar and you get a little salami and some artichoke hearts and some olives and some tuna fish and some marinated tuna fish and some anchovies and marinated garbanzo beans and peppers and, of course, beautiful olives served with some bread, and you sit down with a glass of red wine, or you take all of this home, and that becomes the family dinner. It makes a wonderful meal. After that, you might want to have a little pasta. It's really up to you. You can do all sorts of good things. Here's another one, also from Italy, and it's a sausage called cottaghino. Cottaghino. And this is the same sort of thing, the same kind of filling that the Italians use when they make that stuffed pig's foot that you saw. Remember in China? Isn't it interesting that both the Chinese and the Italians, the Romans, I should say, actually it's from Modena, just outside of Bologna in Italy. I'll put this on a platter for us. In Italy, sausages make a fabulous dinner, and they're all ready to go. All you do is take them home and simmer them a bit. This one is cottaghino. It is so rich that my hands are now covered with gelatin, natural gelatin from the meat. Oh, it's good. I just love cottaghino. Cottaghino. How does it spell? Coteghino. I think. Cottaghino. Go to a good Italian merchant. He'll have some ready for you. In Rome, I went to lunch one day as a guest of Jo Batoya, whose husband is a big shot with the Roman hotel system. She was born and raised in Georgia, in this country, and she teaches cooking in Rome. Lovely, terribly sophisticated woman. What did she serve me for lunch? Head cheese. You didn't catch it. All right, I'll tell you why. Head cheese with a salad dressing on it. This is a very old Roman dish. You would go to the merchant and buy the head cheese, take it home and put a nice salad dressing on it, just olive oil and lemon juice and so on. And this becomes a meal. That's takeout in early times because you didn't have a kitchen, only the senators. And the senators had cooks that were slaves in Rome, and eventually the young slave who had learned so much that he would buy his freedom and then be set free, you see. But then he would come back and the senator would have to pay the lad to cook. That's where the cooks came from. They were Romans. Now, another thing that you would find in Rome. Oops, these are Athens. Here it is. Here's the pie. This is a whole meal, and it's an enormous piece of bread called focaccia. Focaccia. I've made this for you, and it's wonderful because it's perfect for sandwiches, or it's perfect just for a meal. A glass of wine and a big slice of focaccia and a nice salad makes a classic meal. You didn't think of bread as takeout food? That's because you're an American. In Europe, good bread is takeout food. You take it home and make an entire meal of it. You don't eat a whole cow, you see. Much less meat is eaten in our three ancient cultures than what we do. All right, how about a couple of others here? One of the things that you'll find in Athens, I wanted you to see these little pies because they're so cute. These are pizza pies that you buy in the markets in Athens, in the takeout places, you see. I want you to see the size. Isn't that a cute little rascal? Will you come out of there? Isn't he beautiful? See? That's an individual pie, and you take him home, and, they sell them like crazy. You have to get in line. And all over Munia Square, there must be 15 different stands selling pizzas in the middle of Munia Square, and there are all these little dinky ones. Greek style. The Greeks did it first. The Greeks, you remember, taught the Romans how to cook. Let me show you something they taught them. One of the things they taught them to do was to prepare a souvlaki, or cooking meat on a skewer. Now, this is strictly a Roman invention. I don't have to show you how to do this. I'll give you an idea of the sauce, though. All you do is either use pork or lamb, cut it into cubes, like this, about this so, you see? About an inch square. And the dressing, or the marinade, is simply olive oil. Got this now? Olive oil, lemon juice, a bit of garlic, a bit of oregano, And then you can put on a bit of salt and pepper if you like. But there you are, you see? And then broil these. Broil these for, about 5 minutes on the side. And you wind up with a sandwich that is so beautiful. Let me show you. I'm going to put a piece of bread on to toast. Do you know who invented toast? No, not the Chinese. The Chinese don't eat bread as we do. The person who, the fellow who invented toast was a fellow by the name of Paxus in Greece 2,000 years ago, and he developed something that they call paxomedia, toast. And all over Athens you could buy toast. Takeout. Can you imagine taking toast out? I'm going to oil a piece of pita bread, which would be common in the Middle East, and it became very common in Greece. All kinds of interchange. I'm going to put it on a grill. This grill is called an alisado. It's a Mexican grill. It's kind of a fun thing to have. I'm going to toast this for just a moment while I dish up my platter of souvlaki. These are lamb, and some of these are pork. Don't ask me which one is which, because I can't tell. I have to taste them, and then I'll eat them all, and then there won't be any for you to see, so we'll just leave it at that right now, huh? They're delicious. Pork is very good in this sort of thing. Now, as soon as the bread is hot, it'll just take us a moment here. I'm going to turn that, I think. No, not quite yet. Don't mind the little smokes. Be sure you have good ventilation in your kitchen. We want to use some for our sandwich. This is the takeout now that you would find in the middle of Athens, where it said, the big fast food tunnel I showed you, Jimmy's fast food. Well, that's a new word. That's a term we use. He's trying to attract American tourists. But all of the food in that tunnel is Greek, and it's wonderful. Here's what he does. You heat up a loaf of bread. I think that's fine. Heat that up a little bit. There we go. And onto a platter. The meat is served with the bread, thusly. And on top of that goes souvlaki. This is yogurt with tons of garlic and some cucumber and then some white onions. And then he rolls this up in a piece of paper, just like this. You see, you roll the whole works up in a piece of paper, and then he hands it to you, and you march off down the street. No hamburger can touch this. Souvlaki from Athens. Old dish. I have some other Greek dishes that are takeout, too, that I want you to see. We'll get the sandwich itself out here. The sandwich proper. There. Don't forget the onions and souvlaki. That's terrific stuff. Now, let's clear a spot, because I want to, we'll get some Greek sausages out for you, too. Those are common in the market, and they're always grilling them. It seems to me they're always grilling them. Put these out on a plate for you. And this sausage is unusual. Remember I told you that in the old days, sausages were popular in the ancient world because they could be eaten with the fingers. And that's how you ate. You didn't use silverware. Silverware is very new. So these sausages are very Greek, and they're made with a little bit of orange peel in them. And they're just terrific. Greek orange sausages. Now, here's the fun part. I want to make some, find everything for you here. I want to make some cheese pies. The sort of thing that you buy in Athens very quickly and very easily. Get everything out. For our filling, we want a pound of feta cheese. Let me find the right recipe for you so we stay consistent, huh? A pound of feta cheese, and I've just broken it up, you see? 3 eggs beaten. This is our filling for toropidas, pies filled with cheese. I need a tablespoon of olive oil to add to that, just for extra richness. Just for richness. We're not trying to lubricate anything or worry about something sticking. Just about a tablespoon of olive oil. There we are. And I better return my fork to this. And about a tablespoon of chopped parsley. That's all there is to it. Now, you don't want to add salt, because the feta cheese is packed in salt. And that would be too much. You don't need that at all. All right, now, you buy a package. Unless you're Greek, you buy your own filo dough. If you're Greek, then maybe you can pull it. I've been trying to learn to pull filo dough for, 3 years, I think. Mrs. Kostula Sagat, she's in Tacoma, Washington, is trying to teach me to pull filo dough. It is so complicated that I suggest you buy yours. This is what it will look like. You buy a package of filo dough. It's paper thin, and it even looks like paper. No, this is paper. Hold on, the dough's inside. You won't see much difference, though. Here it is. You see this? It's almost like a wonderful tissue paper. And you want to spread out a couple of sheets here of this dough. I'm going to use a piece of marble here. Look, I wet my finger just like I'm playing with some kind of parchment. There it is, you see? Now pull this very carefully because we don't want to break it. See the sheet? Lay it out and slosh butter all over the thing. Melted butter. There we go. This is the same thing that the Greeks used for making baklava. And you're gonna, you'll say, well, gee, that's Middle Eastern. It's true. It's true that some of the things that the Greeks learned to bake, they learned from the Turks and from the Egyptians. Now, the Greeks won't admit that. They will admit that they learned something from the Egyptians, but I don't think they admit much about the Turks. They don't do that. But it is the truth. So we'll take a second sheet now, put that on top of the first. Let me get this out of the way now. And then we'll melt the butter, add the melted butter to that one too. Just keep brushing it on. And this will make one big pie. You're going to say, Smith, is this the low-calorie show you were telling me about? Funny you should tune in today. This is not the low-calorie show. This is takeout. And one of the most delicious dishes you can find in all of Greece, it seems to me, is made with 2 sheets of filo dough, then a filling of feta cheese with some eggs, a little parsley, tiny bit of olive oil. Roll that up thusly. Now watch closely, because this is the fun part. This is how you do it. Roll it once. Don't push on the dough. On the filling. See? Roll it again. Roll it a third time. Now stop and fold over on this side. See? I didn't hit it hard. Roll once more. Then fold on this side so that the layers are light and fluffy. Roll this up. Place it on a baking sheet. Brush it once more with butter. Then bake it at about 400 degrees for, 25 to 30 minutes, something like that. Just watch them until they're, ouch. The usual, huh? Until there it is, until they're golden brown. You get a platter and put some of these out for you because they are so gorgeous. Now, I've got to cut one of these to show you. I didn't tell you about this one. Let me show you what I did. I have 3 cheese and I have 3 spinach. Now, the spinach one is filled with a little cheese, but a lot of chopped spinach as well. I used frozen spinach. That's all right. You see this? This is called spareribs. Spareribs. Put the 3 spinach out and the 3 cheese out. It doesn't take long to make these. And the flavor is so wonderful. You want to see the inside of the cheese one too? Let's do it. See what happens? The eggs help hold. Whoop! We blew it. I'm going to find one for you. There's one here. It's got to be this one. It's got to be this one. Well, maybe there aren't any on this plan. I thought there were. My cook told me there were when we rearranged them. I think I've got it. Nope. All right. There are no white ones on the plate. Let me find some. I did some with cheese, and I don't know where we put them, but the spinach ones are gorgeous too. All right. Let me try this. Find a spot here for us. What else? One more thing that is common. No, I don't know where the thing went. You want me to find him? I don't know where he went. Well, anyhow, some are made with cheese and some are made with spinach, and they bake beautifully. One more thing that's really interesting takeout food in Athens is food made with yogurt and honey. I know this sounds weird to you, but when you go to the Amunia Square, you'll find shops, and they give you a little carton of very good honey and very good yogurt. The Greeks have shipped honey all over the world since pre-Christian times. Did you know that? Wonderful stuff. And they trickle a little bit of honey on strawberry yogurt, and then you walk around the streets of Greece with a little spoon. It's better than ice cream, I tell you. And you can celebrate takeout food, but you're celebrating it Greek style. Now, let's go through these. Look at all these things, and not a one of these is what you and I would call normal American cuisine. We've prepared pies called a rolled pillow pie made of filo dough. And of course, from China, you have all sorts of prepared meats because nobody could afford to cook meat at home. Indeed, they had very little meat to cook. In Italy, you buy antipastos and prepared sausages and meats. And in Rome or Athens, either one, you can buy little pies. And in Athens, you find wonderful meats cooked on a stick, placed in a roll. You wander around and eat that in the street. And remember, the sausage is an old world invention because it was takeout in a time when things were very scarce and you didn't have any silverware. So takeout isn't American. It never has been. Now, next time you go to have lunch at the hands of a plastic clown who burps food into your car, remember that you're missing something terribly important. You can't talk with your family if you're buying food from a clown and he's stuffing it through the window. Please, get some good takeout or make it yourself and then sit down and talk to your kids about the history of food. It's very important. Till I see you again, this is the Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.